if we can solve that leadoff spot, and look, I mean, I want it to be DJ, and hopefully it is, but certainly with Alex Verdugo up there is a possibility. I feel like if that leadoff spot gets settled, then we have a chance to be a really special offense.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias, and today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. With me, as always, is my producer, Steve Granado. Steve, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Stacey, and thanks for clicking on the show today, guys. We have a billion questions from you folks. We actually had to trim down the fat this week. You guys, I think, are starting to get ready here. I think it's all coming to plan here, Arthur. So later on in the show, of course, it's Fanmail Friday. We're going to answer a bunch of questions from you guys. We're going to talk some prospect stuff. We're going to talk some pitching. But first, Stacey, we need to talk about lineups. This is something we have kind of dove into a little bit throughout the offseason, but for everybody who's jumping back on board now that spring training is underway, of course, we have more thoughts on this, and we're now getting some stuff from the horse's mouth. The other day, Aaron Boone spoke to the media for about a half an hour. We dissected some stuff he talked about yesterday, but there was another thing we wanted to get to, and that has to do with the leadoff spot. Go ahead and take a listen to what Aaron Boone said. This clip is coming from Yes Network.
I mean, in my mind, I guess I do kind of have an order, like if everyone's going and healthy, the biggest thing I want to make sure we solve is that leadoff spot. You know, if we can put ourselves in a good spot there, you know, with some combination of Aaron and Juan hitting back-to-back, sets us up pretty well. Because if we can solve that leadoff spot, and look, I mean, I want it to be DJ, and hopefully it is, but certainly with Alex Verdugo up there is a possibility. I feel like if that leadoff spot gets settled, then we have a chance to be a really special offense, because I do feel like the middle of the lineup then around Aaron and Juan has a chance to be deep and special.
Stacey, quote, I want DJ to be there. I thought that was an interesting way that he phrased it, meaning that's the plan right now, but seemingly DJ LeMahieu still has to go out and earn that.
Yes. DJ LeMahieu has had most of his at-bats as a Yankee batting leadoff. In 2023, Yankees leadoff batters, brace yourselves, people. They batted .227, .306, slugging .374. They only had 146 hits from the leadoff spot, which was tied with Detroit for the fewest of any team in baseball. So leadoff was kind of a black hole for the Yankees in 2023.
Yeah, and you know that leadoff gets the most at-bats. Like, that's the problem is you can think it's like, oh, well, it's just one bat in the order. It's like, well, this is the bat that comes through the order the most.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very important job. I kind of joke that, like, the leadoff spot, you're not leading off very often, because that's just how baseball works. You may lead off at max 2 times a game, 3 times a game. It's crazy. But yes, it's still an extremely important part of the order because of how many times it comes to the plate over the course of a season. So you obviously want someone that has that on base prowess to get you on the bags and get things started. So when it comes to that, Stacey, is DJ LeMahieu the right guy to be kind of entrusted in this? I mean, we've already had the conversation about third base, and when Aaron Boone came out and said this throughout the offseason, that he wanted DJ LeMahieu to be the third baseman, or that he is going to be the third baseman, and they had to kind of pry it away from him if that were going to be the case. I kind of gave him a little bit of guff for that. But overall, Stacey, when you take the offense into account here, especially him in the leadoff spot, like DJ LeMahieu's role now seemingly has grown exponentially.
Yeah, last season he led off in 58 games. He batted .235. His on base was .331. He had 8 home runs, 21 runs batted in, and 226 at bats. His best year was 2019 in every category, obviously. But he led off in 126 games. His on-base percentage was .372. He hit 25 home runs, and he hit a total of 26 that year. So he was really good in the leadoff spot. But he's traditionally batted leadoff the most for the Yankees. In 2023, he happened to hit better in the 6th position. He was only there for 15 games, but he hit 289 compared to 235 in the leadoff spot. But his year was odd. So, his splits between first half and second half were really wild. Different. Yeah, like very drastic. In 2022, he had 363 at-bats as leadoff. In 21, he had 582. In 2020, in the shortened COVID season, he had 192 at-bats, 47 games, but he hit 10 home runs, which was the same total that he hit in 582 at-bats in the leadoff spot in 2021. So, yeah.
It kind of goes through these like power surges, right? Like out of nowhere. And maybe 2024 is one of them, but there's obvious concern with the age. There's obvious concern with that first half of last season until Sean Casey took over in the latter half of the season. So it's clearly not a foregone conclusion. At least it shouldn't be a foregone conclusion. I think that's why Aaron Boone's saying, I would like it to be like, this is my preference. That it is DJ LeMahieu. And obviously he's been there in big games. Like he's been there and he has the pedigree and the experience to handle that position in New York. I don't doubt that part of it, like mentally, but it's if there's still gas left in the tank there, considering what we saw last season for the majority of it, that's what gives me cause for concern.
Yeah. I just feel like, in the leadoff spot, you're not expected to hit 25 home runs like he did in 2019. It'd be fine if he only hit 10 home runs, but if he got on base at a good clip and if he batted closer to 300 instead of only 235 kind of a thing, if he went back to being the machine that hit singles all the time or singles and doubles, that would be great too. And there are other people that maybe could fit into the leadoff spot aside from DJ. I just think that when Aaron Boone says, I want it to be DJ, I think he really wants it to be 2019 DJ.
Well, of course, like that, of course, that's who you want. When you're considering, Stacey, what you just mentioned, that you don't need him to hit 25 home runs in the leadoff spot, that's period. But especially considering who's going to be coming behind him. Like, you don't need DJ LeMahieu to hit that many bombs because you got a guy back there who's going to hit potentially 60 and then a guy right there as well who's going to hit 40. So you're going to get the home runs. I think that's pretty clear. Obviously, health is always overshadowing every conversation in baseball ever or sports ever. But I think understanding what needs to be taken out of that position, what we need to get out of that position. And I hope DJ understands that too. Like you don't need to be the guy. You don't need to be the power guy. If it comes, it comes, kind of like Volpe, right? Like traditionally you want your shortstop to be hitting 20 to 30 home runs. That'd be amazing. You don't have to, especially if you're offering other things. But when it comes to 2023, obviously Volpe didn't offer that kind of thing. Stacey, he did mention only one other name potentially in that leadoff spot, which was Alex Verdugo. We kind of speculated that he might be batting 6 or 7, and I thought that would be a really good 6 or 7 option when it comes to the Yankees. Maybe 5, that might be pushing it a little bit for Alex Verdugo, who doesn't necessarily have the pop there in that regard. But Alex Verdugo is a leadoff candidate. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, he didn't do that bad. In 2023, he batted leadoff for 336 at-bats. He batted 280 with 10 home runs. Again, you don't need a ton of home runs from that position, but the 280, getting on base, is a good thing. And you mentioned Volpe. He batted leadoff in 28 games in 2023. He hit 4 home runs, but he only batted 191 as the leadoff hitter. And you can't just bat 191 as the leadoff hitter. You have to get on base as the leadoff hitter. He did much better in the 8th spot. Much, much better. 273 with 6 home runs in the 8, which you joke it's the catcher spot, but could be Volpe.
Yeah, I was kind of pushing for him in the 9th spot, and I think that might be he'll be in the back end. That's what at least at this point. So unless something drastically changes for Volpe, or a meteor hits the Bronx, that's I don't consider Volpe a leadoff hitter candidate right now.
Not right now. No, not right now. If he
maybe down the line, maybe in the future.
Yeah, if he can get better at getting on base, because we've talked about it so many times that those few times that he did produce runs by getting on base, stealing bases, or just running first to third on a single, or even first and home on a double, that kind of a thing. If he can learn to get on base better, he could be one of those pesky leadoff hitters that the Yankees used to love having. My dad used to always joke in the 90s because it was Jeter and Knobloch, and it always seemed like they were on base in the first inning, and then had, O'Neill and Williams and all those guys behind them driving them in. And I would love to see that kind of batting order again. And potentially, if you have someone like DJ LeMahieu hitting singles and then Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, or Aaron Judge, Juan Soto behind them.
I think it would be the latter there. That's my anticipation, is Judge and Soto.
Yeah.
But for me, Volpe profiles really well as a 9. Just really well as a table setter, kick around the order kind of guy. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the comment section. Do you think it's right for Aaron Boone to lean on DJ right now as the leadoff hitter? And if not, then who would be your pick? I want to know in the comment section here on the YouTube side. Of course, like I said earlier, it is Fanmail Friday, so we have a whole bunch of questions we need to get to here today. We have our Locked On Yankees insiders getting questions first. Check the episode description to find out more information on that. We'll tell you about it later as well. Right after this quick break.
Our newest sponsor is Backblaze. What is Backblaze? It's an online storage cloud that provides a foundation for businesses, developers, IT professionals, and individuals to build applications, host content, manage media, backup and archive data, and more. With over 3 billion gigabytes of data storage under management, Backblaze currently works with over 500,000 customers in over 175 countries. If this sounds good to you, you can get unlimited cloud backup for your Mac or PC for just $99 a year. And if you have a business, it works on multiple workstations and offers 1-year file retention and version history. Even better, Backblaze has restored over 55 billion files for customers. You can also get your hard drive restored by mail and shipped to your door. To receive a fully featured no-risk trial, go to backblaze.com/lockedonmlb. It'll give you plenty of time to upload and download some files. Seriously, back your stuff up. Again, go to backblaze.com/lockedonmlb, sign up for the free trial, and see why the New York Times, Inc. magazine, and Tom's Guide have all recommended Backblaze. Back it up with Backblaze.
Back here on Locked On Yankees. Don't forget, guys, we are 5 days a week now that spring training is back. So we'll be back on Monday. And we have a whole bunch of things planned already for next week. So make sure to hit subscribe. Stacey, it's Fanmail Friday. It's always Fanmail Friday here on Locked On Yankees. So let's go ahead and get to our insiders first. Again, if you want priority and guarantee answers to your questions, either in text or on the show, you can always check out the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. There's a 14-day free trial in the episode description. You get other perks as well. Our first one today is coming from Bruce, saying, for Friday discussion, maybe, are the Yankees thinking that Spencer Jones could take the outfield spot left by Soto in 2025 as Soto can't be re-signed? Thank you, Bruce, for your question, and thank you for being an insider. Stacey, Spencer Jones incoming 2025? It's a little quick. I think it's a lot would have to hinge on how he does this season. Remember, I think he's going to start in AA this year.
Yeah.
I think AAA is going to be way too quick for him. So I imagine he's in Somerset this season. Now, that is not to say that it's not possible because of how fast Jason Dominguez moved through the system.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, it's a little quick for Spencer Jones, who still has swing and miss concerns. There's just something he's got to work on some stuff. It's not a foregone here that he's going to take that spot. I would imagine Everson Pereira has a leg up if you're looking at just 2025, looking to fill a potential hole there.
Yeah, I would think so. I feel like 2025 is too quick for Jones. Maybe 2026 is more realistic, or maybe later in 2025. But I feel
that's kind of what I'm thinking. Like for someone injured in the outfield, okay, Jones is hitting well. It's time.
Yeah, that sort of a thing.
Even then I would think it's like, okay, call him up to fill it up, see how he does. Kind of like how Jared Kelenic, without the manipulation stuff, like how that call up kind of worked.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But I was cutting you off there. Sorry, I don't know what you were getting at.
I don't remember what I was getting at. No, but I was thinking that, 2025, a fully healthy starting opening day Dominguez in the outfield. Not sure exactly where though, because I feel like they'd want Judge to play right.
Start shifting away from everyday outfield, right? They
Yeah.
already want that, but he's gonna play center field every day.
Yeah. So I feel like Dominguez has a better chance of taking over that spot to start in 2025.
That's fair. Yeah, that's fair too. But obviously, seeing how he responds to Tommy John's here. And,
well, they say he's coming back summer's
everyone's
new favorite word.
Thank you, Bruce, for your question. Again, if you want to guarantee answers to your question, check out the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. All right, we have a bunch more to get to today, Stacey, so let's just go ahead and jump right in. This is a newcomer and maybe an all-timer as far as names, usernames are concerned. This is coming from @Snerd who, by the way, has an all-timer profile picture as well. That's Leonard from Community, big fan, big community head over here. Anyway, okay, this is a long-winded one, so stick with me. The question is, what do you think about potentially trading for Shane Bieber and James Karinchak from Cleveland? Bieber has 1 year control left and has ace potential, and at his current level, he is a very good mid-rotation starter. His best years came with Matt Blake as his coach. With Karinchak, he is already an effective reliever, has a few years of control left, and has very good stuff and K rate. Unclear the coaching of Blake. I could see him becoming the next elite reliever. I don't know what the Guardians need, but I think we can make a more than fair offer without any real harm to us. Personally, I'd be willing to overpay and offer Jorbit Vivas plus a lower tier prospect. Love the channel. Keep up the great content, and let's go Yankees. Thank you, Snerd Turgeson.
I love
what
that.
a name. Great. Lot to unpack here, Stace. Let's start with the Shane Bieber front. Obviously, we have talked about Shane Bieber here this offseason. The fastball numbers are alarming the way they have dipped, the velocity going down. I don't think the Yankees are thinking Shane Bieber unless they see something in him this season, and then trade deadline, it's adding him, and it's like, okay, screw it. Let's go for it.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see him being one of the guys that maybe, because we've said that a couple of times on the show, that, the Yankees are up there and they just need one extra arm at the trade deadline. I could see them working out a deal, and he could be one of the guys that they look at.
Yeah. Again, I think it would have to be he's pitching well this season, and the fastball numbers are going closer to normal. Maybe there isn't a more of a regression. I mean, if it starts going down further, that's when they go, nope, not what we're looking at.
Yeah, like I feel like they wouldn't trade for him if he had to be like a reclamation project to try for Blake to try and fix him, kind of a thing. No, it would have to be if he's improved from last season and things have gone up. I agree with that too.
Or he's changed his repertoire. Like he's like attacking different, and it's also working.
And it's working. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah, there has to be more immediate upside there for the Yankees in that regard. James Karinchak, that would obviously be an add-in, and the Yankees would have to give up more to get both of those guys in the same type of deal. And right now, especially, there is no need for another reliever. They have plenty there. We're going to talk about Clay Holmes a little bit later on in the show, and, as a little bit of a precursor to that would be a potential Clay Holmes replacement. In theory, Clay Holmes is a free agent after this season. So just as a precursor. But yeah, I mean, offering Jorbit Vivas, I think Vivas could be a bit of a trade chip. They obviously just acquired him in the Trey Sweeney deal with the Dodgers. But yeah, I feel like Vivas could potentially be a trade chip, especially as we're talking moving on to the trade deadline. But also remember that Glaber is a free agent after the season, and Jorbit Vivas is primarily a second baseman. So lots of things there, lots of moving parts. But thank you for your question, and thanks for joining the Fanmail Friday family. And shout out to a community fan. All right, our last one here in this segment, Stacey, is coming from the longest YouTube username, but we just call them Midnight @Midnight, asking us, coming back from injury, is there any possibility Yankees put Nestor Cortes on an innings limit this year? Stacey, I'm going to go ahead and be super brief with this one. Yeah, I think that's totally on the table.
Yep. I think so too. Just because of the problems he had last season. The fatigue problem. That's a big problem. Kind of a scary problem. You talk about it all the time. It's just really uncomfortable thinking that, at some point in June, he's going to get too tired to pitch. And then what are they going to do? So I feel like they should kind of slowly ramp him up and see how he does.
Yeah, like pushing him. I think maybe the innings limit idea in my head is not necessarily a season innings limit, but might be like, okay, we're going to limit you to 5 through your first 5 starts.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to, okay, then we can push past the 5th inning, or, we're definitely a no third time through kind of guy. Like those types of things I think you might possibly see here. Obviously it kind of depends on how he's doing here in spring training.
It also depends on how the starters ahead of him in the rotation do and how the bullpen's looking at the time that he's starting too, because if they're going to limit him to only 5, you're going to need 4 innings from the bullpen. And if whoever's before him, however the rotation is arranged, if say Stroman goes out the day before and only pitches 3 3/3, that's 4 innings, 3 and like a third, and they have all those innings for the bullpen, then you can't say to Nestor, oh yeah, you're only getting 5. You'd have to push it a little harder than that. So
it's a really good point. That's a really good point. All right. We have way more questions we needed to get to about Clay Holmes, about some injury stuff that's coming up here in just a second.
Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. You can bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And this weekend, it's All-Star Weekend in the NBA. And I'm sure you can bet on the over-under for the All-Star game, which at this point is probably about 250, 300. Those guys are scoring like crazy in the All-Star games. And when the regular season returns, you can bet in those parlays for someone to score 10, 20, or even 30 points in a game. And because we're a baseball podcast, your 2024 Yankees are at plus 900 to win the World Series behind the Dodgers, who are at plus 1,200. The Yankees are at plus 450 to win the American League, right behind the Astros. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Final segment, Friday show, Fanmail Friday. Teacher Sama checking in here today, Stacey, with another long-winded one, and this one's fun, so I wanted to read it. Teacher Sama, regular here, saying, "What's up, guys? I love having you again 5 days a week, especially since I'm an English teacher in Argentina, and I always take notes about Steve's 999,999,999 idioms / slangs a day to use them with my students. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts on this. You've talked a lot about Giancarlo Stanton's season being a, quote, make it or break it moment for him. But I think there's another player in that situation, Clay Holmes. This is his chance to prove he can be our regular closer, and I think he has until the trade deadline to do it. Teacher Sama, one, I didn't even realize how many like slang idiom thingies I say, but I guess I kind of do, right? I guess I kind of do that a lot. But I'm glad I'm teaching Argentinians American slang. Stacey, Clay Holmes, make it or break it. I mean, I guess in private we have made our thoughts known to each other about Clay Holmes and how both of us, we like him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's a good closer. Do I think he's an elite closer in Major League Baseball? No, that's the Josh Haders of the world.
He's solid.
He's solid. He is a solid closer.
Yeah.
I don't know about the phrase make it or break it for Clay Holmes,
Mm-mm.
but I think going into a contract year, this is a prove your worth year. I think this is for him. Like, are you going to continue to be the Yankees closer after this season? Show me you should be. I think that's where the Yankees heads are probably at right now.
Yeah. I feel like not that it was make it or break it last year, but I feel like he proved himself to be a solid closer last year. I mean, there were a couple of iffy outings, but for the most part, he was good. And again, yes, he's not elite, you're not going to have another Mariano Rivera, so get that out of your heads. But, I don't cringe when I watch him close, which is always lovely. It's lovely to have that as a closer. And as you said, this is his prove it year for free agency. And it could be either prove that you could be the Yankees closer, or another team will be like, hey,
we'd love to give you a chance.
We'd love to give you the chance to be our closer and give you a ton of money. So I'm actually excited to see what he does in his walk year. It could be really good.
Yeah. I think he only had 4 blown saves last season. So he was really good. Like that's good. That's very good. Only 4 is like nothing.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Teacher Sama, and say hi to your students for me. Thanks for checking in. All right, Stacey, this is I believe, this is not a regular, but someone who's checked in before, I believe. This is coming from @Stark69. I find it interesting how during discussions about health concerns of Yankees starting pitching, the one taboo conversation is the reality of Garrett Cole being human and the possibility of being injured. With that being said, if the 2024 Yankees roster, God forbid, were struck with season-ending injuries early on, how would you rank the top 5 player losses, think negative WAR, from most impactful to least? This assumes no external acquisitions to replace. My rank would be number 1, Garrett Cole, 2, Judge, 3, Soto, 4, Rodon, and then 5, Gleyber Torres. Stacey, I know you hate that we said Garrett Cole injury in the same sentence, but I will quell your worry. He has been extremely healthy his whole career. I said that last season. Don't freak out.
I know. I just,
I said that last season, and look what happened. I'm not jinxing it here. Garrett Cole remarkably has been healthy throughout his entire career. He is a workhorse. He is a dying breed in Major League Baseball. And he's been remarkably consistent throughout his entire career. And it's been amazing to watch from the Astros now to the Yankees as a baseball fan.
He does feel like an old school pitcher, right? Like the guy
he's
you
got
can rely
Nolan
on to
vibes,
pitch. Like,
dude.
Yeah. Like, if he doesn't pitch 7, you're like,
yeah,
what's
like, what are you
here?
doing, bro? You should be like, the question should be like, can I go out for the 8th?
Yeah. That's and I feel like he's one of the last guys like that. But he has been healthy. The one issue he had was the hamstring in the 2021 wildcard game, which we don't like to mention, but he was injured during that game, which is why he pitched so horribly. But that would be a disaster. Let's not even put that into the universe.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. As far as your list is concerned, 1, Cole.
It's like Garrett Cole is.
If Cole's out, I have zero faith in this season for the Yankees. I'm not even going to mince words.
Yeah. I mean, you saw what missing Aaron Judge did for 2 months. It's the same thing. Like, pitcher wise, Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge, hitter wise, but also they're like the same level together. Like either one of them, it's like disaster.
I'd be so worried. Especially because it's like most impactful is the words that Stark used here. So like Carlos Rodon is game 1 starter of the ALDS and the AL and going 2 times in that series. Like maybe, but like from what we just saw, no. Like you have to prove it throughout the season that he can handle that. Yeah, no, Garrett Cole number 1, not even close. I don't think I disagree with maybe this entire run. Mm-hmm. I would maybe put Gleyber up to 4 and put Holmes as 5. Because again, we just talked about how good he's been, but when it comes to that, I trust Caleb Ferguson, but I don't trust Caleb Ferguson to be the everyday, the closer for the entire season, at least at this stage. Anyway, thank you for your question. Our last one here today, Stacey, before we get out of here, this is coming from New York Yankees Hulkamaniacs asking us something a little different. What is your guys' favorite baseball movie, minus Field of Dreams and The Sandlot? Thank you, Hulkamaniacs. Great answer. Stacey, I'll let you go first. Favorite baseball movie?
I have 2, and they're old. I can't help it. I love Bull Durham, and I love Major League. I just do. I quote Major League a lot, actually. It's one of those movies I've seen about 50,000 times, so I know the dialogue. And I think my honorable mention would be A League of Their Own. Oh, and also Angels in the Outfield. I love that movie, too.
I've actually never seen Major League before.
What? No.
There are 300 million movies. No, sorry, I haven't seen them all.
Okay, no. You have to. I thought it was bad that Rob Nyer hadn't seen it because he's around my age and he didn't see it. So that was really inexcusable. You kind of have an excuse, but watch that movie for the love of God.
I'm not going to dive into this. My answer has always been The Sandlot. Obviously, it was made for me. I'm from California. It's a baseball movie. Come on, that movie is made for me. So yeah, obviously, I love The Sandlot growing up. This is a basic answer, but whenever this pops up on TikTok, like how TikTok just has movies now. Like people just upload part 67 of Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah.
One that pops up for me a lot is Wolf of Wall Street, but also Moneyball. And I will sit there and watch Moneyball a million times on TikTok. Like the amount of times I've watched like Jonah Hill like talking about on base percentage in a 6-minute clip on TikTok, I'm a little embarrassed how many times that's happened.
Okay, well, I haven't seen Moneyball. I read the book. I have read the book. I read it in one day, actually. I just ripped I'm not a good reader, but I went right through it. I was like, oh, this is really good. And it took me 6 hours. But yeah, I have to see that. I know I have to see that.
Yeah, Moneyball's great. I love Moneyball. Here's something for the everydayers that stick around to the very end of the show. A lot of you don't know that. I imagine none of you know this. For over a year, I had a movie review podcast where the entire premise of that was we haven't seen these movies and people yell at us for them. So Major League would be on the list. That's why I said I'm not going to get into it. But you know what? I am going to get into it. I think it's completely okay if you haven't seen a movie or a TV show. There's a lot out there, and life is busy.
I haven't seen any of the Jurassic Parks. I've never seen any of the Matrixes. I've never seen any of the Shreks. There are a bunch of things I haven't seen. So,
well, there you go. There are over 50 episodes of that podcast. If you want to go listen to it, it's me and my best friend Alex. This is old. It's very old. We were talking about like COVID in there and stuff. It was a COVID show. But yeah, it's called Movies I Should Have Watched. So everydayers, if you need to hear me talk about something completely different and very, very rarely mention baseball, then go listen to that. Anyway, Stacey, what do we got coming up next week on the show?
Garrett Cole spoke to the press. We're going to, talk about what he talked about. And it's the first weekend of spring, and hopefully things will be okay when we return on Monday and we don't have too many bad things to talk about. That'd be great.
Yes, that's the goal. And of course, don't forget to join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. Link in the episode description for a 14-day free trial. We are going way over time. We got to get out of here. Enjoy your weekend. That's going to do it for today's Locked On Yankees. I'm Steve Granado.
And I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. We will see you on Monday.